Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. It is, for me, currently Saturday night, November the 8th, 2014. Hope everyone has had an excellent week. I'm actually recording this rather late at night, later than I normally do. Well, it seems to be the case anymore that I'm recording them late at night, but this time around, it's because I have a lot of things. It's like the floodgates opened all of a sudden this week, and there's a ton of games out there. I didn't even get through all of my news sources because I put so many things down on the spreadsheet here that I use that I figured I've got more than enough topics for an hour of discussion, hopefully. Hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers that I don't regret not going through all of my list. But yeah, I guess that kind of brings up a question sometimes. You might be wondering what exactly are some of my sources that I keep looking at all the time. And if you notice from my links, I often cite Polygon and Rock Paper Shotgun, mostly because they tend to have the 15, well, what would I call it, the 2-minute overview of things and then sometimes they go deeper into the stuff instead of just like a small blurb of things. So that's why I tend to cite them more often than anything else. But I look at those. I look at VG247. I have a whole list of RSS feeds that I feed off of to look at things. Occasionally I jump into the NeoGAF forums sometimes, and the TIG source occasionally. I have as many of these linked up to Feedly as I possibly can, which is my RSS feeder. I used to use Google Reader, but Google canceled that thing. So I found Feedly afterwards because it was very similar to Google Reader, and I thought, well, it's good enough for me, and it's actually sort of improving too. They have like a nice little search button now that does a little bit of extra work for you, which is kind of cool. Anywho, I digress. Those are a few of the things. Also, Ars Technica, and I have, what else do I have on there? Oh, Indie Game Magazine, a few other things, indiegames.com, and a bunch of sources for my jibba jabba, as well as just trolling through, or I should say, scouring through IndieDB and ModDB and all those DB things, among other things. In case you're ever wondering where I stumble upon a lot of this stuff. But in particular, the reason I bring that up is this particular week, Rock Paper Shotgun, holy crap, the floodgates open. I mean, they had a ton of like recommendations on games and things coming out, and a lot of links to other things. I also ran across something rather fantastic as well on my own, just by looking at some other things. So we'll get into all of that. Let's start getting through some of this list because it is quite extensive. I also want to jump into some of the older links I have on here that have been on here for a couple weeks that I think are still valid. I hope are still valid. I haven't fully updated the links in here yet, or updated the information. I've tried to, but it's not. I have so much in this list that it's kind of a little bit difficult here. But we'll start off with I'll just throw this one out there. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare just was released to much fanfare and a lot of good reviews. Actually, it's getting quite a bunch of nice reviews. I watched TB's video on Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and it was I mean, he came out of it thinking that it wasn't all that awful. Although the single player, obviously everybody, the single player in a Call of Duty game tends to not be that great since the olden times. But I really like the here I go saying something that might get me shot, but I kind of like the Halo-ish, the Halo-ish feel to the game now. I was watching TB's video on it, and I like the the jetpacks and all that stuff, and all the flying around and sort of the sci-fi nature of it. I think they it looks to me like they did a really good job. They did enough of a job of it that I looked at and I was like, man, I might have to buy a Call of Duty game. I might just have to buy one, and probably not for the multiplayer, because I know that's going to be that's going to be an exercise in frustration for me. But I just for the being able to play with the game mechanics and that, it looked rather cool. It reminded me again a lot of like the Halo games, where you can move around pretty quickly. Your mobility is very good in that. That's what I really like. That's the thing that always drew me to Halo, is just having all that mobility. A lot of these first person shooters, and when I say a lot of them, I can't cite any off the top of my head, but a lot of the first person shooters that I have looked at, you look at the gameplay, and it's like it just feels very very stunted and very like, oh, there's all kinds of weight, and you look at the military shooters and it's like, oh yeah, you're carrying 100 pounds of equipment on your back, so your character is like moving through molasses all the time, and I get that that's more realistic, but honestly, I think the thing that's really fun, particularly if you're looking at multiplayer stuff, is being able to just bounce around a map like a damn jackrabbit on crack. That's when I think about the old classic, multiplayer shooters like Unreal Tournament and all that stuff. The thing that was great about them was just being able to just do all that crazy stuff like rocket jumps and bouncing all over the place, and just the mobility you get. I mean, I've even played on occasion in Halo multiplayer. I think Halo 3 multiplayer was what I played a little bit of. And, even though I wasn't very good at it, I did like the fact that I was able to hold my own for in some cases, where I can actually move out of the way of things, and, you don't necessarily see the enemy right away, but you can at least be mobile enough to make them to miss when necessary. So, and that was always the thing that's appealing to me, just being able to do these just crazy jackrabbity things and have fun with it. I've never, from what I understand, Team Fortress 2 is kind of like that too, which is, to me, explains why it's still popular even, 7 or more years after it was released. Is it 7 years, or is it even more than that? It might be even more than that. I don't even remember when it was first released, but it is still popular, and there's still a lot of players on it. And the videos that I've seen of it seem like it's got that mobility baked in. So I kind of I've never played it though. I've always thought of maybe jumping in there. I mean, it's free to play. I should probably just jump in there at some point. But I just feel like every time I look at it, I feel like I'm so far out of practice. I haven't touched it ever, that I probably wouldn't have a whole lot of fun in it, because I'll just run up against people who have done nothing but that for the last 7 years and are just ridiculously good at it. But I was looking at Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, the videos of it, and I'm like, you know what? Something crazy is happening to me, because there's a Call of Duty game that I'm actually debating buying, and also there's a Battlefield game, Battlefield Hardline, that I'm debating buying because of the nature of what they're doing in there, and how they're doing it. It's just something's going wrong in my brain, I feel like, because all those years of looking at Call of Duties and Battlefields and going, nah, that's not me, and then all of a sudden they're doing these sort of new things or new takes on things, and suddenly they're now on my radar. I know that Call of Duty Ghosts did sort of the sci-fi thing as well, but from what I understand, that game was just a steaming pile of crap, so I'm kind of glad I didn't. I never bothered to look at any videos of it. So yeah, that is out, and that's getting some rave reviews. In addition to that, since we're on the sort of FPS-y kick thingamajig here, I was looking at now. Where is it on my list here? I'm sort of looking at my list, going, I swear there was something else here. Oh yes, here it is. Star Citizen released a video. It was called their PAX video, but I don't know why they called it a PAX video, unless it was something that they showed at PAX some point in time, PAX Prime maybe, I don't know. But they released an FPS module video. So for those of you not quite up to speed with the Star Citizen stuff, Star Citizen is a crowdfunded thing, the highest grossing crowdfunded game still in development. I think they are almost near $52 million raised, which is just balls ridiculous. And it's very, very ambitious to the point where it's supposed to be the game that is all games. Pretty much. The game to end all games, basically. It's by Chris Roberts, who was behind the Wing Commander games and Wing Commander franchise, amongst other things, like he had a little bit of a stint in Hollywood as well, as a director. But I'm in it for the sci-fi, space fighter stuff, and we have that module out, the Arena module, a portion of it. So that's a portion of the game. There's also the Squadron 42, which is going to be the single-player game, and then Star Citizen's going to be the multiplayer, sort of MMO-ish, shared experience type of game. So we had the Arena module come out a while ago. In fact, the Arena module has just recently been updated, which I haven't downloaded the update yet, but I haven't really played that much of the Arena module. It's pretty bare bones right now. It's just basically, spawn in a couple enemy bots and fly around and shoot them. And it's in the Crytek 4 engine, so it's not really optimized yet. So it is kind of tanking a little bit frame rate wise on my computer. But they've released a video of the FPS module, which is basically you can board space stations and board, I guess, ships as well, and get your gun out and start shooting baddies. And that's basically what they show off here. They show off the running around, running and gunning, killing other enemies. It's basically pretty much a arena multiplayer experience that you would expect. Kind of a slightly open environment, some cover to take to hide behind, with a little bit of a twist where you can go and hack one of the teams. It's basically team on team, right? There's the enemy team, and then there's your team. So it's in many ways like Team Fortress 2, but you got the defenders and you've got the people on your squad going after it. And the defenders are on their home turf, so they can kind of do things to screw around with you, like go and turn the gravity off, and then you can have a zero-G battle, which they show in the video eventually. I would suggest you go follow the link that I've provided in the back in the description, and watch the video. It is a bit cringeworthy, because they for whatever reason, to get in the quote-unquote feel of it, they start using pseudo-military speak, which I don't even think military people even use, as they're going around. You're like, oh, 2x2 and all this crap, and it's cringeworthy, but you can possibly turn the volume down enough, or let's just put it this way. I was able to get through it. And if I'm able to get through something that's pretty cringeworthy, then I think pretty much anybody can if you just stick with it. But that is being developed by an entirely different sub company that Robert Space Industries, the one that the overarching company has employed. And I think that's really the key here, is that they are really employing multiple companies to build the actual game out. One company is responsible for sort of the space flight and the arena stuff, and then there's other ones responsible for the FPS stuff, the first-person shooter stuff, and I'm sure there'll be another one in there somewhere along the way for procedural generation and all kinds of other things. So at the end of the day, hopefully this will all mesh together into one coherent game, but that remains to be seen, and I feel like that's still probably years off before we even get to something that is ready to be released in that regard. But that's just my uneducated outsider opinion on what I've seen so far there, and I have a hard enough time as it is keeping up with all the news as far as Star Citizen goes. And since I would be remiss to talk about Star Citizen and not talk about Elite Dangerous, the granddaddy of them all, the one that inspired most games like Wing Commander, has been cited as the inspiration for Wing Commander and other space combat games. That is Elite. That is not Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is the remake, or I don't know if you call it a remake or just a reimagining of the Elite video game of old. And that has been in beta for quite some time. I've been trying to keep tabs on it whenever I can. I did not get into the beta. I did not buy into it. It was quite expensive. It was like 200 British pounds or something like that, which is something like 225-ish American or something like that. It was pretty damn expensive, and I just couldn't deal with it. I just said, you know what, I've got enough things that I have beta access to. Let me just leave this to the end I'll just pre-order the release copy. Of course, I didn't realize this at first until I looked back at my order and I was like, oh yeah, that's what I did. Because I was like, hey, shouldn't I have access to the beta? And then I looked at what I actually ordered and I was like, no, I shouldn't, unfortunately. But Elite Dangerous, which I've seen a lot of videos from, and it looks pretty cool. It looks like Privateer, Wing Commander Privateer, on steroids, and a combination of that and also the X series of games. It's just got a release date, so December the 16th will be the release date of Elite Dangerous, barring any changes in that. So that sounds cool. So we should all be able to get a ship for Christmas, hopefully. So I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Hopefully it's not a slow burner. It's something that I can actually record and have it be interesting. But we'll see. I haven't been able to touch any of it at all yet. Bit of a theme here. Lots of stuff. Holy crap, lots of stuff here. We've got BlizzCon. BlizzCon has been going on. I believe it's yesterday and today. Well, for you guys it'll be yesterday. Yesterday and yesterday. The 7th and 8th of November, I believe, was BlizzCon. And Blizzard announced a kind of shocked everybody and announced a brand new IP. So there's a little bit of a backstory here from what I understand. Blizzard had apparently not announced, but there were rumors that Blizzard was working on a new MMO game with a new IP, and it was called Titan. Now I don't know if it was ever officially announced, but there were very good, very close rumors about it. Now, from what I understand, that was Blizzard made some sort of announcement, or something happened where they just basically said, look, we're not going to continue development on Titan at all. And then we got to BlizzCon here, and all of a sudden they announce a brand new IP, and it's called Overwatch. Yes, I was going to call it Overlord. I don't know why. I don't know why Overlord popped into my head, but it's Overwatch. And there's a rumor that Overwatch is sort of a watered down, quote unquote, version of what Titan would have been, because they were possibly over budget and over time. But Overwatch is basically have I used the term Team Fortress 2 enough in this episode? One wonders. It's pretty much when I looked at the trailers for it, it is pretty much Team Fortress 2 from what I can tell. So some people have said that there's MOBA elements in it. I did not see any in the videos that they showed. Really what I saw was basically Team Fortress 2, but possibly with a little bit more meat on the bone. I say with a implied question mark there. And what I mean by that is, in Team Fortress 2, you have your classes, right? You got your medic, you got, I'm going to use baseline class names here. I might have the wrong names, so I apologize ahead of time. But you've got your basic medic, you've got your engineer, you've got your spy stealthy class, and you've got your tank, right? Pretty much. And all those are present and accounted for in Overwatch, from what I can tell. But I think what Overwatch does, and this is what interests me a little bit more, is that even though those are sort of the overarching classes, it sort of fleshes them out and gives sort of subclasses, if you will, or what was the term I was thinking of, like specialties, where characters have, they might be healers, but they have offensive weaponry as well. They're not just healers, or they have some kind of twist on offensive weaponry. So instead of having your, say, straight up stealth class, you might have, there's one character that runs around and does sort of parkour-ish moves, kind of, with a bow and arrow. And then there's another one that's sort of your more traditional sniper role that just, she kind of runs around with just a sniper rifle and doing her thing. And then you've got the typical tank there, but he's also got a sort of an overshield and a few other things. There's sort of a twist to every little thing based upon the video that I saw. Every character, it looks like, and it sounds like Blizzard is trying to make it so that you have enough characters that you can find a character that best represents you or how your style of play, rather than forcing you to sort of generalize your play style. You can kind of find that little niche that scratches the itch that you would normally have. And it looks pretty cool. I mean, the arenas that you fight in are pretty open. It's got a cartoonish kind of, it's got a cartoonish look to it. The one of the trailers, the non-gameplay trailer, looked like something that would come out of Pixar in terms of CGI and animation, CGI animation. But that said, it's nice and bright and cheery, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think the aesthetic suits it well, especially if you're, especially when I look at, say, Team Fortress 2, which is very comic-y as well. It feels like almost like they Blizzard looked at it and is like, okay, let's stack the deck a little bit. Let's just make something that is Team Fortress 2, but we'll make it our own IP, and we'll put we'll iterate on it a little bit. So, I mean, it might be something interesting to take a look at. I have already put my name in to see if I can get into the early beta, but I doubt it. I doubt it very highly. I still have my name in for the Heroes of the Storm beta, and nothing has happened there at all. So I'm not holding my breath at all. But I'll leave you guys a link to Battle.net. You can go. I'll leave you a link to the Overwatch section of Battle.net, and you can take a look at the trailers that I've looked at. It looks pretty cool. It looks like it would be a lot of fun. It just depends on. You have to see what comes out the other end, basically. What else? Oh, speaking of multiplayer stuff, a multiplayer game just came out on Steam earlier this week. Looks interesting. It's called Depth. It's a asynchronous multiplayer game, so there are it takes place under the ocean with divers and sharks, and the asynchronicity comes in with you usually have 4 divers to 2 sharks on one team and 2 sharks on the other team, and the idea is that the divers are trying to collect all the loot, all the gold on the floor, and the sharks are trying to protect the loot and kill the divers in the process. And there's some leveling up that happens along, during a match where you can, the divers can get upgraded weapons, and the sharks can get upgraded abilities. They can evolve as they go. There's some pretty good gameplay video over on Good's channel where a couple of the Minecrackers played it. And it looked like it was a hell of a lot of fun, particularly if you're the shark. It looks like it might be more fun if you're the shark, to be honest with you. But if there's any complaints that I've seen about it, it's been mostly that it only has 5 maps, I believe, so it could probably get stale relatively quickly. But it is an interesting concept, and it's a nice, it's a pretty cool take on the normal genre, as far as multiplayer co-op / team on team versus team play. And speaking of a interesting take on the asynchronous co-op or co-op team versus team or whatever you want to call it. And I warned you guys that it was going to come fast and furious this this episode, because I have a lot to go through. There is a game that I just came upon on Steam and on Rock Paper Shotgun called Clandestine. Clandestine. Sorry. Sometimes I would call it Clandestine. Sometimes I would call it Clandestine. It's just the way I sometimes pronounce that word differently for some reason. But Clandestine, it is a stealth co-op game, but you can also do single player, from what I understand. I just actually went and straight up purchased the early access for it on Steam, just to see what it looks like, because it's one of those things where it's like I'm on this sort of spy game kick, and like all the spy games are starting to come out, and I'm like, well, there goes all my money, and it's all early access stuff still, so there you go. But this one is, the interesting thing about this is you can play single player, and it's basically a stealth game where you go through as a spy-like character, and you have to sneak through and do whatever the mission objectives are. I haven't quite figured out what the mission objectives are yet. I haven't played any of it. I literally just bought it and told Steam to go install it, so I haven't looked at it before I hit record here. But it the interesting gimmick, which I think probably is a thing that will be the mechanic that brings people back repeatedly, is that you can play in co-op mode, where one player is the spy going through the level, and the other player is a hacker sitting back in the truck, giving them instructions. So it's really interesting how it plays out, where it looks like, to me, from the video that I saw, it looks like the spy can go through and sort of tag computer consoles with a bug, and then the hacker on the other side can go and access those consoles and then access the security systems and the video cameras, and then via voice, in-game voice chat, or maybe even Steam voice chat. I'm not sure how that's working yet. The hacker sitting in the van can then talk to the stealth to the spy and give them instructions on where to go and where the enemies are and everything else. It sounds fantastic. It looks a little bit janky right now, and to be honest, for an early access game that is very, very early access, it's costs $30, which US, which is really steep, really, really steep. But I guess, I kind of look at it from the other perspective, which is they may not have done a Kickstarter. In fact, they probably did not do a Kickstarter. I say, having not done that search necessary to tell you whether that's true or not. So they may have decided to just try their luck at early access and use that as and rather than going into Kickstarter and trying to get the same kind of money out of it. I don't know how that worked, but it does look really interesting if you have people to play with. I don't know what the single player is going to be like. The single player will be the thing that I test because I don't have anybody to play with. But so I can at least tell you what the single player is going to look like. And I imagine that the co-op, it's going to be such a killer feature that they'll probably have a way for you to co-op with random people, random puppies. Although I don't know how well that'll work out. But that's I imagine that might be a case that you could probably do that. So I'll leave a link to the Rock Paper Shotgun article that talks about it a little bit more and has a video of it and everything else in there, and you can take a look at that. Oh, so many things. I wanted to, before I, how far in am I here? I'm about 31 minutes in. Okay, so we got some time. I want to talk about so let's talk about the Humble Bundle stuff, because I believe it was last week where right at the end, I mentioned the Humble Bundle 13 was on, and then I abruptly did not tell you anything about it because I wanted to get it in before I hit my normal ending period. So now I'm going to expand upon what I said there. Plus, there's some other news around the Humble store, so I can relay all this at the same time. So the Humble Indie Bundle 13 is going on, and it's almost over. I believe there's only 2 days left, so you better hurry your ass up and get in there. There's a lot of games in it that look really cool. I think the thing that drew me to it was that Shadowrun Returns is in the Humble Indie Bundle 13. I have been on the fence about whether or not I want to buy Shadowrun Returns. Now I have it now because it's part of the Indie Bundle, and I was like, well, screw it. Now, if it's in the Humble Indie Bundle, it's going to be mine now. It's just the way it goes. I was always on the fence about it because I watched some videos of Shadowrun Returns. It is a sci-fi tactical game, tactical RPG game. I was just never sure whether or not it would be up my alley or not. I mean, obviously it's sci-fi, so it's up my alley, but I did not play the original Shadowrun at all, so I don't know the backstory. The person I was watching play it knew all the backstory, and I was like, oh man, I feel very inadequate. I feel quite inadequate because he was just explaining the whole thing as he went. But I was always on the fence about it, and I was like, I don't know, go back and forth, and then I'm like, you know what? It's in the Humble Indie Bundle 13. I'm just gonna get it and see what it's like. So Shadowrun Returns is in it. Ollie Ollie, which looks interesting. I haven't played it yet. I have it installed, but I haven't played it yet. It's a 2D. It reminds me of a little bit of Excitebike from the old NES game, old NES days. It's kind of like that, but instead of BMX bikes and whatnot, it's motorcycles and whatnot. It's basically rail grinding and skateboarding and that kind of thing. It looks kind of cool. I mean, it's very basic in graphic wise and all that stuff, and probably sound wise too. But I thought, oh, you know what? That might be something I could get a couple hours of enjoyment out of when I'm waiting for stuff to happen, or waiting for a build to finish, or waiting for a build to finish. Yeesh. waiting for a render to finish. I might have had a little slip of the tongue there. Another game in the Humble Indie Bundle 13, Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet. From what I saw in the video, it looked like a 2D sort of bullet hell-ish thing, side-on bullet hell thing. It didn't really do anything for me, so I haven't really installed it, but it's part of the Humble Indie Bundle 13. Tower of Guns is another one in there. I've heard of this before, but I have not actually looked at it, so I don't really know what Tower of Guns is. Amnesia, a Machine for Pigs, so the follow-up to the Amnesia series. Will be a game that I will never play because I will just make fun of it incessantly. But it's there, and I think I even have the original Amnesia too, which I'll never play either because it was in some other Humble Indie Bundle or some other bundle somewhere along the way. But it's there, whatever. If you're looking for the Amnesia, scary stuff, kind of scary stuff, and you don't make fun of things like I do, then there you go. Another game in it's called Jazz Punk. Now, this one I had never heard of before, but I looked at the video of it. I was like, this looks interesting. So I installed it and I played about 5 minutes of it. And I'm like, you know what? It looks like an art house game. It kind of feels like an art house game, but it does have, it's supposed to be a comedy, and it does have some tongue-in-cheek humor and tongue-in-cheek moments in it. And I thought, this, of all the games here, besides Shadowrun Returns, this actually seems like something that I could probably record a Let's Play of, because it's just different, and it's relaxing, and it's one of those games where it doesn't take itself seriously, and also, for what I can tell, you can't die in it. So so you can always progress, and it's the world that they build up is supposed to be 50s or 60s spy thriller world, where it's you're a spy, and you're going up against the communists and all that stuff, but it's all very comical in its take on things. It does, if there's one niggle I have about the whole thing, and one nitpicky thing that I have, it's that the intro goes on and on and on for no discernible reason for about what seems like 20 minutes, but it's probably only like 4 minutes. And it does not really give me the vibe of a 50s or 60s spy thriller. It gives me more of a vibe of like an 80s pop star music video back in the days when MTV actually was like music television and not, I'm 18 and have 5 kids. So, right now there's somebody telling me that TV show actually exists, and I'm going to, and my feelings on humanity have been dashed. But it looked really interesting. It looks really interesting, and I feel like it's something that I could probably play. If nothing else, some of the music in it is kind of annoying, but it might be something I can overlook. But yeah, I only did like the first 5 or 10 minutes of it, and then I said, oh, okay, I get what they're getting at, so let me put this aside and I'll come back to it. And then another thing in the Humble Indie Bundle 13, this is a game I've heard a lot about, but I have not picked up yet. Risk of Rain. This is a co-op 2D arena game where you're just it's PvE, I believe. I don't think there's any PvP in it. It's all PvE, where you just drop in and try to get as far as you can, killing all the mini bosses and regular bosses and everything else. Get upgrades to your weapons, all kinds of stuff. It's kind of bullet hell-ish, sort of, but it's I've heard a lot about it. I've heard it's really fun to play. The interesting thing about the Humble Indie Bundle 13 is that it gives you 4 copies of it. So you can actually go and give it out to 3 friends and have a good co-op experience going. So that is really cool. And what else? What is the other one on here? Oh, The Novelist. I have no idea what that is. I think that was just added to the bundle a few days ago, and I haven't had a chance to look at it because it wasn't in there before, as far as I know. So I don't know what The Novelist is. Eldritch. I've heard of this before. I still don't quite know what the game actually is. Other than I've heard good things about it, so I don't know. You know, your mileage may vary. And then Tales of what is this? What is this one? Tales of something. I can't see it. It scrolled off my screen here. Scrolled off the screen. That sucks. Tales from Space. Mutant Blobs Attack. I don't know what that is either. I have no idea. I imagine it's probably a puzzle game. It has the puzzle game-ish title to it. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say that's probably a puzzle game. So it's probably something that I will never install. But there you go. That is what's in the Humble Indie Bundle 13. You can also pay, I believe, if you pay more than the average, you get all those games. If you pay $25, I think you also get a goodie bag with a bunch of stuff in it, like t-shirts and whatnot. No, it's more than 25. I think it's more than that, because I think I put 25 down. I didn't get that. It's some other price. I think maybe it's $30 or something like that, or more. So that's really cool. In addition to that, the Humble Store, which is, also in a Humble Bundle, the Humble People, the Humble People. The Humble Store opened up 1 year ago this month, and they're celebrating their 1 year anniversary. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I tweeted out last night, that they were, to celebrate their 1 year anniversary, they're giving away a free copies of Metro 2033, the original Metro 2033, not the remade one. Not the remastered one, I should say, not remade. That was free, so I figured, why not? I picked it up. I also picked up a gift copy. So if you follow me on Twitter, keep an eye out. I may be tweeting out a call for anybody who wants a free gift copy of Metro 2033. I might just tweet out the URL and say, have at it, because it's a first come, first served URL. You'll have to activate it on Steam before the 21st of November, but otherwise it's first come, first serve, and there you go. In addition to that, the Metro Redux bundle is 50% off right now on the site. So I think, and I've heard good things about the Metro Redux bundle. Like it went through and revamped all the Metro games and made them like really look pretty spectacular, as well as, bug fixes and other things. And I think the Metro Redux bundle at 50% off, I believe, is like $24, $25, something like that. So you might want to pick that up if you're a fan of the Metro series. Also, there's a ton of other things on sale right now on maybe not a ton, but there's quite a few things on sale right now on the Humble Store, so you might want to check that out. I think Thief was on sale for like $10, and the new Thief, and trying to think of what else I saw on there that jumped out at me. I think that was about it. The Metro Redux bundle, and that's the only one that stuck in my brain. So that's pretty cool. So you want to jump on over there and take a look at it. You know, the nice thing about the Humble Store is 10% of all the sales go to charity. So you might want to take a look at it, see what you can make of it. So that takes care of those 3 things, or 2 things on my list here. In addition to all of that, we've got. I was taking a look at the Telltale. Announced a while back that they're going to make a Game of Thrones game, and those of you who follow Telltale know that they do the point-and-click games. So they've done like the Walking Dead games and the Wolf Among Us, which I've been watching some long plays of the Wolf Among Us, and the story in that's actually really good. I was on the fence about it when I first saw it out there, because it was like, it's like a grim fairy tale thing. I was like, whatever. But the story actually seemed to turn out quite nicely in that. The Walking Dead, I've watched videos of that, the Telltale game for that. It's if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, if you're a fan of the zombie games, you'd like that. Not really a fan of the zombie apocalypse stuff too much. I feel like it's overdone, and it's never really done that well. Which I can just see all the hate mail coming in right now. But in my personal opinion, I haven't seen it done really that well. Except, The Last of Us wasn't bad. I didn't play it, but I watched videos of it. That wasn't too bad. The Walking Dead stuff isn't, the Telltale game isn't too bad as far as the story goes. But it does feel a little bit repetitive after a while. Just for me watching it, it seemed like it was a bit repetitive. And I don't know, but that being said, Telltale, those games look like they're a hell of a lot of fun. I've just been waiting for one that's in a genre that I care about, really. And when they announced the Game of Thrones, that they were going to do Game of Thrones, I was like, well, all right, you hit the genre that I'm interested in. So I've been keeping an eye on it here and there. And the latest information, which is, latest as in last week, I'll link you to a Polygon article on it. There's going to be, they've announced 5 playable characters from some background house. One that we haven't seen in the book, one that's been in the books, but not one that has been on the HBO series. And the running possibility is that it will be House Forrester, which is mentioned a little bit in the books, but again, never has made an appearance yet on the TV series. It is a minor house, which makes sense. You don't really want to mix your canon with your non-canon too much. But it looks like, it's one of those things on my list. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a look at this now. I'm going to stand up and pay attention to you now, Telltale, because you're delving into things that I'm more interested in. I kind of wish that they would do a Star Trek game, if I'm to be totally honest. I think if Telltale did some sort of point-and-click Star Trek game, even if it's not like main characters that we care about from the series, even if it's just done in that world, in that universe, and not the freaking J.J. Abrams universe, the real Prime universe, the one that actually makes some goddamn sense. Telltale could have my next child. That's basically what it comes down to. So if there's any Telltale devs that happen to stumble on by this lowly little video here, Star Trek. That's all I gotta say. The original Star Trek, well, not even original Star Trek, the Prime Universe Star Trek, like Next Generation would be fantastic actually. Deep Space Nine would be even more fantastic as far as story goes. But that's all those suggestions totally free. You could make a ton of money off of them. I wish. So that's what I have to say about Telltale's Game of Thrones thing. That's the latest information on that. I'll link you to the Polygon article as always. Great. So another game that has come up again, Rock Paper Shotgun on the ball about this stuff. This game is currently being hawked on Kickstarter. They're doing rather well on Kickstarter, but they're not quite to their goal yet, from what I saw a little bit earlier. It's called Epic Manager. And why this sticks out in my head is kind of an interesting thing here. I have played a game called Adventure Manager, which is an RPG with... but it takes sort of a different approach to it, where you're a king and you're sending adventurers out for you, and you have to, get adventurers together, get parties together, sort of, hire them and have them go out and do their thing and have them bring loot back to you and all that stuff. Epic Manager is the same thing, sort of, except it's more of, it's a lot of, yes, it's an RPG and you have a party, but it's taking that mechanic and then saying, oh, we're going to overlay like Football Manager over top of it, or one of those, like NFL management games, or soccer management games, or baseball manager, or something like that. Like, basically, you treat your party like a team, essentially, which it is, and you buy and trade for other, for good party members, and you try to build up the best team you can, and then you send them off on quests. And the quests, some of them are randomly generated, some of them are time based. You have to be in the right place at the right time to get them, and they bring back loot, which then allows you to, you can cash that in and then sort of build up your team even more, and then that allows you to buy more adventurers, and you can give them all kinds of, you have to equip them out and kit them out and everything else. It's sort of the same concept as Adventure Manager, but it's taken to a slightly different level, and that's why it sort of captured my imagination, right? It's like, it's RPG, but not quite. It's RPG, but it's taken to a slightly different perspective, and I like that. I like the shifting perspectives that we're seeing from a lot of these indie devs now, where they're going off and kind of, they're taking your normal genre and they're going, oh, what happened if I sort of turned it 90 degrees to the right? Does it still reflect the light quite the same way? Is it quite as shiny, or is it even shinier? Are there sharks with frickin' lasers on their foreheads? I feel like I was getting sort of an Austin Powers, or not Austin Powers, a Dr. Evil-ish voice going on there a little bit. So yeah, Epic Manager, you want to probably take a look at it. I'll leave you a link to Rock Paper Shotgun, which also links over to their Kickstarter, and it has a embedded video, their Kickstarter embedded video there. You can take a look at what they're going for. I think it's a very interesting concept, and I'm willing to fund interesting concepts, as we all know. So that I'm very interested to see what comes out of that. I hope that they meet their Kickstarter goal, so that I can see something come out of it. What else we got here? We've got again from Rock Paper Shotgun. I feel like I'm their shield this week, but they've been hitting on all cylinders this week, as far as I'm concerned. Refunktion, or as I like to call it, fuck you, because it will fuck you and fuck you over and over and over again. It's a what would you call it? It's I was going to call it a free running game. It kind of is, but it's not. It's more of a dodgy, not dodgy, because dodgy's not dodgy as in bad. Dodgy as in I'm dodging things. Because I got to remember, there's like British people out there like, oh, he said it was dodgy. It's like, not bad dodgy. I'm talking dodging things. It's kind of a stealth thing, sort of, but it's basically, it has the look and feel of Mirror's Edge. Well, it has the look of Mirror's Edge, not necessarily the feel of it. It doesn't have all the same mechanics that free runner like Mirror's Edge has. Like you can't do sort of wall running and all that stuff, but you can, mantle up onto high ledges and run around. But it does have the visual aesthetic. So it's all whitewashed buildings. It uses color to try to tell you which way you got to go. And the goal of it is to basically get to the end of the level without being killed by robots that are patrolling the area. And the robots are one-shot kills. So as soon as you have no guns, no weapons of any kind, all you can do is run away from them and hide from them. There's a lot of sort of air vent kind of things that you run in through and try to crawl through. And it's there's little checkpoints along the way that you can hit. But the game itself, it's free, completely free. You can go download it right now. I've played a little bit of it. The game itself, and the reason why I call it Refunktion, is because it is balls hard. It is really hard. You have to, you don't have to be stealthy. You can run in front of the robots that are there, and you get maybe 4 seconds while they charge up, where you can get into cover again. But it's still, even then, it's very unforgiving and very difficult. So if you're looking for a challenge and you're looking for something that looks like Mirror's Edge, kind of sort of plays like it, like you can do some things, you can do a little bit of running. If there's a criticism I can level against it, it's that the running is very lackluster, as in it's cool that you can move around the area and there's a lot of different hiding places and things to jump in, but the actual running itself feels very slow. It doesn't feel as fast as Mirror's Edge. Like when you got up to speed, when you got your runner vision going, you got that blue streak that would come around you. When you got into that mode, man, you were running good and things were just happening, and there was a sense of speed of hey, I'm making some good progress, and you don't really get that so much from Refunktion. But again, it's a free game. It's meant as a chapter 1 of many. They're looking to potentially release newer version of it or different chapters of it. Probably there'll probably be paid chapters or episodes, whereas this one's just free. This is the catch, the lore, if you will. So go check it out. It's free. Might as well go download it, see if it's something you like. If you like Mirror's Edge and like the free running sort of things, kind of parkour-ish stuff. So it's pretty cool. I might end up doing a video of it at some point. We'll see. And I would be remiss if I did not talk about something that is quite cool here, that I did not know about, that I found out on my own from just looking at YouTube videos. But apparently, so I got to take a step back for a moment and say, there are a couple of arcade games from my past that stick very closely to me because I think they were fantastic. And I've been working on the side here to try to get MAME working and getting some of these old ROMs working, because I want to record some of these things, because some of these arcade games I remember playing on my own were really good, and it's really hard to find videos of them around that are halfway decent. And one of the ones that I was trying to get working, I got one working but I didn't get the other one working yet, were the Dungeons & Dragons arcade games, namely Tower of Doom and Shadows of Mystara. Tower of Doom being the first episode of that, Shadows of Mystara being the second one. I got Shadows of Mystara to actually work, but I couldn't get Tower of Doom to work quite yet because I couldn't get the audio to work quite yet. It needs certain versions of libraries that I don't quite have. But then I saw that out on Steam, I actually saw a video of this. A YouTuber was posted videos of this, and then I looked on Steam for it. All the work has already been done for me. There is, at some point in time, Capcom released Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mystara, which is basically, they took the 2 arcade games, packaged them under one package. They took the ROMs for it, they got them to work. They improved the graphics, they made them HD-ish. I think they're HD by being in a window. But what they did was, instead of just making them in a window that's, it's got some nice flashy stuff around it, they also have like achievements now in the game that will pop up along the side of that window, and you can do all kinds of stuff. You can change the difficulty on the fly and all kinds of nice stuff in there, and it looks really cool. The thing that really sticks in my mind about those arcade games was the music. The music is phenomenal. In fact, I listen to the music from those games just while I'm at work doing programming stuff, because the music in that game is just absolutely fantastic. Both of those arcade games. So I went and I picked it up on Steam. It's kind of pricey. It's like $20, I think, something like that. It might have been a little bit more than that even. Kind of pricey for something that's old like that, but I think it might be worth it. Maybe it was 15. I'm not sure. But yeah, I will leave you a link to Steam where you can find it. It's quite fantastic. Actually, I'll probably link you to the website. Maybe we'll see. I'll leave you a link somewhere that will link you somewhere that will give you more information about Chronicles of Mystara. But if you've never played that in the arcade, this is as close as you'll get to it, and then some. And they're actually rather fantastic games. I mean, they were branching games. You could go on multiple paths in the arcade games. You could play different, classes and so on and so forth. It's the old school Dungeons and Dragons rules. I think it's like either first or second edition rules. So yeah, I'm just going to put you in that direction, and it's up to you to say yes, yes, this is something that I like. There's plenty of videos out there about it as well, so you can go and take a look at it and see if it's what you like. But that will be it for this episode of Cube Ramblings. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next Sunday.